This is Russ. Yep, back out on the road again. Take a guess what bike this is. It's got two mirrors on it. Left one and a right one. It's got a suspension seat post on it. It's got a giddy up extra large saddle on it. It's got a 20 amp hour battery on it. Yep, it is the Magicycle Cruiser Wannabe Pro. Yeah, it was originally the Magicycle Cruiser, but as you know, I've updated some things on it. It's got hydraulic brakes now. It's got the larger 20 amp hour battery on it. I changed out the crankset to a 52T crankset, trying to help the ghost pedaling. It does help a little bit. Whereas I used to pedal maybe on pedal assist level, it doesn't really matter what the pedal assist level is. If I'm on 7th gear, I was ghost pedaling. Now I find that I can actually stay on 6th gear most of the time and then hit 7th gear when I need it. So yeah, that change does help. Now the only problem with that is that it comes really close to the frame, because that is a larger size, chain ring in there, and so yeah, it comes right up to the edge of the frame. If it was any bigger, it would hit the frame. So, do I recommend you do it? No, not really. Not really. Somebody mentioned that, you know, how do you feel about modifying your bikes and then essentially ruining the warranties? So if anyone buys your bikes, they wouldn't have no warranty. Yeah, you wouldn't have warranty anyway. And the reason is because warranties aren't transferable on bikes. Well, maybe some brands are, but most of them aren't. So yeah, if you buy a used bike, essentially there is no warranty with that bike anymore, because it doesn't transfer to the new owner. Things to consider, but you know, you can get some savings on some used bikes. I have several used bikes available right now. You know, if you want to save some big dollars, hundreds and hundreds of dollars, it might be worth it, right? Especially some of the bikes that I have very low miles on it, because I alternate from bike to bike, so I don't really put a whole lot of miles on one specific bike. So, okay, the Rad Rover 5 has a lot of miles on it. It's got over 3,000 miles, but I got a really good price on that for anyone that wants it. Yeah. So anyway, so where are we going and what are we talking about today? Well, you know, I was so tempted to order some Chinese food and just pick it up. Should I do that? We're heading in that direction. I don't know. We'll see. Got a refrigerator full of food. I don't really need to order another thing. But you know, you get the taste for something else, you know, so sometimes you do. The thing is, I didn't bring any lock on this bike. If I were to do it, I'd have to bring the bike inside. I don't know if they would yell at me and say, hey, why are you bringing your bike inside? I mean, we're only there for less than a minute. You're just picking it up and you're out the door. Or I could just leave it outside and don't worry about it. That's possible too. See if anyone steals it. They'd have to move pretty fast. I mean, you kind of see it all the time, but I can't run after these people. I don't have a good leg. I don't know. Too much effort, maybe. So how's it today? Well, I think it's about 74 degrees out right now. It's actually a very nice day. Air quality is pretty good. I didn't check the actual numbers, but the last time I looked, I think it was in the 50s or 60s. I guess that's about as good you can expect, really. I'm not saying it's good air quality, but better than in the hundreds. 0 is considered best air quality. These are the things I'm learning about air quality. I've never used to look at that until this whole thing with the wildfires in Canada. So yeah, I don't know what the numbers really represent in terms of is it good or not so good. Now here's an interesting thing. I haven't ridden the cruiser in a while, and I did not leave the battery. I did not leave the battery on the bike. I took it off. It's just sitting inside the house, but I'm down to 76%. How did that happen? The battery was not on the bike. It's self-discharging by itself. Is that possible? I think that is possible. But why is it doing that? Anyone know? Put a comment. Let me know. Yeah, I'm down to 74%. I haven't even gotten anywhere. I haven't gone that far. How did that happen? I have no idea. So anyway, we're heading in the same directions we always head. We have to head in this direction. You know, it's no option but to go in this direction. You know, where I'm located, I can't go the other directions. It's not possible. Not with a bike. Not safely with a bike, I should say. So I always head in this direction. Yeah, you guys are getting to know the area, that's for sure. Alright, so we're going to take a right here. There was a time when even just jumping on the streets, I was always a little nervous about it because you never know how cars will react. But I would say that unless the car does something erratic, I'm pretty comfortable on the streets at this point. I actually prefer to ride the streets than going into forest preserves and bike paths and the like. I just feel like I have a purpose, even though I have no purpose today. I'm just riding around. I feel like I have a purpose of going and getting somewhere, whereas a lot of times on the paths I just feel like I'm going around in a circle, you know, and just looking at a bunch of trees. But some people like that, you know. So versus I tend to look at the houses, like I mentioned in the past. I see what people are up to, what's going on in the world, things around me. So yeah, I don't seem to be too nervous on the streets anymore. Some people are. I used to be, but not anymore. If you keep your eyes open, keep looking around, avoid things that could be problems, you'll be okay. But you have to feel confident on your bike. That's the thing. If you have any hesitation on your bike and you can't control the bike well, yeah, probably best to stay off the street. Now people have said, why don't you ride on the sidewalk? No, too slow. I don't know if it's allowed with e-bikes. I don't think so. Not in our area. I don't think so. Some people said it is. I don't know. I wouldn't do it. I only do it in small areas where I'm trying to get to the parking lot or something. It's only 1 block away. Then I'll jump on the sidewalk to get there, so I don't have to be on the street and cross the street again. But other than that, no, I usually don't. Oh, we had an interesting comment. Somebody was saying that it didn't make sense what I was saying about how, I think he was saying something like the Rad Rover 5 versus the Deer. How would the Deer eat up more battery than the Rad Rover 5? Well, he said it made no sense to him what I was saying. Well, basically what I'm saying is if you use the Deer, and somebody mentioned too another alternative, but we'll talk about that in a second. I said if you use the Deer is a 750 watt motor that can peak at about 1100 watts, even though the meter only goes to 999, but it goes higher than you think. And the Rad Rover 5 is a 750 watt motor, so they say, although some people will defend that it is 750, but it doesn't peak any higher than 750, okay? So whether it's 500 or 750, it just goes to 750 and it maxes out and stops at that point. Now, somebody mentioned if you take the deer, lower the current rating in the display screen. I'm going to take a left over here. Lower the current ability on the display screen. You could make the deer essentially perform like the Rad Rover 5, in which case it would not eat up any more additional power than what a Rad Rover 5 would do. That is true. Yeah, if you limit it, if you do current limiting and you limit it where you're not allowing any more to be given to give you more wattage, then yeah, you could limit it to 750, and then the two bikes essentially would be the same. All right, but I don't do that, and so you know, if you have that bike set for like 20 amps or whatever, I don't know what it is in the display screen, I haven't looked at it. If you have it high, you know, and you hit that throttle hard, it's going to go as far as it can go, and then it's going to go to that peak of 1100 watts. So if you do that, yeah, you're gonna use up more battery than if you use the Rad Rover 5, which just stops at 750. You see what I'm saying? But he says, well, I don't know if he was saying how often do you do that or why would you do that. Well, as you know, a lot of times when I'm on the street and I'm in heavy traffic that does 40, 45 miles an hour, I'm going to try to compete with that speed a little bit. So I'm going to hit that 28 miles per hour. And if I do that, I'm going to be probably at 1100 watts of power. So doing it that way means that it will eat up more battery. I hope that is understandable. But yeah, if you simply rode it like you would ride a Rad Rover 5 and limited the abilities and everything like that, then yeah, essentially they would be equal at that point. But I don't do that. So even the Cruiser here, the one I'm riding here, hey, this will do 28 miles an hour. If you unlock it, okay, when you buy the bike, it usually comes as a 20 mile per hour bike. You go into the menu and you tell it that you want to turn it into a 28 mile per hour bike. It'll do that, and it has a lot of power. All right, I'm not gonna go where I usually go. I usually take a left here, and then we end up in Prospect Heights and all that. Let's just turn back. We're just riding and talking today. We're not doing anything special. So yeah, the Cruiser actually does pretty good. I think value-wise, when people ask me what is your best value bike to offer that you've ridden, the Cruiser has to be one of the better value bikes, I'd have to say, because the price is really good. If you don't mind mechanical disc brakes, all right, it's a pretty decent price on these bikes. If you have to have the hydraulic brakes, then yeah, consider Cruiser Pro. If you're on a budget, you could always do the Cruiser, then add the hydraulic brakes later, like I did. Okay, I didn't pay for it. Magicycle paid for it. They sent me the brakes, but you could always upgrade that bike later. You know, you could. It gives you a smaller battery. They give you a 15 amp hour battery, I believe, and Cruiser Pro is a 20 amp hour battery. You could add a 20 amp hour battery later, and that's what Magicycle did for me too. So what I do is I ride with one battery in the rear rack. I just kind of put it inside their fireproof bag, and then I bungee cord it to the rear rack, and then you could ride with the regular battery on the bike, and then when that exhausts, you just take the battery out and swap it with the other battery. So that would give you 35 amp hours, which is more than even just a standard Cruiser Pro. Of course, if you do pay a little bit for this, okay? Costs you a little bit more money, but I've seen promotions on Magicycle's site where they said if you bought the Cruiser and you bought a battery at the exact same time, they were giving 50% off on that second battery. That's a good deal. That's a good deal. I don't know what the batteries cost now, but you know, some batteries are $600–700. Let's say $600. All right. So they would essentially sell you that second battery for $300 then. Right? Double check it yourself. I don't know the exact price. I'm just giving it as an example, okay? But that's an option, you know. You could buy the hydraulic brakes from them and install it yourself. It's not that hard to install. I actually have a video about it. I think if you just search, you know, people ask me, you know, do you have a video about this, a video about that? Go on YouTube, and in the YouTube search function, just type in Russ is Right and then whatever else you want about it. You know, if I happen to title it that way, it'll come up. Like, for instance, if I haven't checked it, you have to check it yourself again. If you typed in something like Russ is Right hydraulic brakes, you might find my installation of the hydraulic brake. Where are we here? Oh, how did we end up here? All right, we're not doing this. Let's go ahead and turn here. So, yeah, you could search for anything. Like I think sometimes people ask me, you should do a video about this, or you should do a video about that. Sometimes I already have it out. I already did it. Just do a quick search on YouTube that way. Just type in Russ is Right, then add in whatever else you want next to it and see if it pops up. Yeah. So sometimes I won't do it a second time, because if I've already done the video, so there's no sense doing it a second one. But all right, where is this taking me? This should be taking me back to the way I came, I think. I know I've done this before. I've ridden down here before, so. We'll just keep going. What's it gonna do? And next to us is the highway, in case you're curious. Over on the left-hand side. Yeah, this is not fun to be on. Let's get off of this thing. Let's head over here. Yeah, chickened out. Yep, chickened out. By the way, this giddy up seat that I'm sitting on with the suspension seat posts, yeah, pretty nice. It actually blinks too, the back of that big extra large giddy up. I don't know what they even have a name for that thing. It's the weirdest looking seat. It's got a blinking light on the back of it too, make you more visible. Oh, somebody that asked me, why do you have an external headlight mounted on your handlebars sometimes? Oh, I probably should have turned. Yeah, it's not on here right now because I moved those things back and forth from bike to bike, so I forgot to put it on here. What it does is it is brighter than the original headlights that are offered on the bikes, and they blink, and so that just gives more visibility. You know, it's brighter and it's blinking. I will have the headlights on a lot of times. I will have the headlights on a lot of times while I'm riding, even bright sunlight, just to gain more attention, so people see me coming. I don't really ride at night, so that's why I do it. And a lot of times I'll have a rear tail light blinking too. In this case, since this saddle has a blinking light on the bottom of the saddle, I don't put an external one on. I just let the blinking light from the saddle handle it. Yeah, I think those motorcycles are beating me out. 3 Harleys. You could always tell a Harley, right? Yeah, you could. All right, I don't want to be on this road. Why am I on this street? I should have turned. All right, let's get off of this thing. We'll take a left somewhere. The next available left, we'll take that. This is the problem I have. I really don't pay attention where I'm going. I just go. And because of that, we end up at places we don't want to be ending up at. What street is this that I'm on? I know if I head this direction, I'm going to cross Palatine Road again. Okay, yeah, all right. I know where we are. We always take this road. Yeah, we'll head back. So yeah, it's a nice day. Now, only about 74 degrees. That should be nice and cool. Man, I was sweating up a storm before I even got on the bike. You know, this bike actually is stored in my garage. And as you know, garages are usually hotter than outside. But I don't just take the bike, jump on it, and go. I had to put everything in the world on this thing. I had to put the battery on. I had to pump up the tires. I checked the kickstand, and the kickstand was slightly loose. Yeah. And check your kickstands. It's getting to the point now. I'm starting to check the kickstands every time before I leave. I mean, if it's a bike that I took out, you know, less than a week or two ago, I mean, I check it now. But yeah, if I haven't taken the bike out for a while, I check that kickstand. These things are loosening up. I'm telling you, if you haven't done it before, check your kickstands. One of you guys mentioned to me recently that you did check your kickstand and it was loose. Yeah, it bounces a lot, so you really want to make sure that that thing is tightened. Now, interestingly, because I had purchased a Rad Power Bike with my very first bike, I get Rad Power Bike's emails. They put out a thing that says check your quick release on your front tires. Yeah, I would highly suggest you do that. One time I took the bike out. It was the Rad bike, and I happened to notice it was loosening up. Yeah, so I was riding around with it looser, I should say, not totally loose. So I tightened it up, and yeah, I was on my way. So check that too. All right, things loosen up. You know, we bounce around quite a bit on these bikes. So it's interesting too, since we're talking about things down in that area. I've noticed that you know, a lot of my tires, or I shouldn't say my tires, my wheels, the rims, you know, they're black, right? Yeah, it gets really dusty looking down there. I used to clean them off really good all the time. When I first got my first bike, you know, a couple weeks go by, I'd clean it off. A couple weeks go by, I'd clean it off. Yeah, it picks up a lot of dust and dirt. Then I got lazy and tired of doing it, so then I stopped doing it. And then I look at it and I go, man, that thing looks bad. Doesn't even look black anymore. It looks kind of grayish. So yeah, if you want your bike looking good, you gotta maintain the cleanliness of it. Oh, here's another thing. You know, in front of my bike here, I have a front basket. It's made by Magicycle, given to me by Magicycle. People have asked me whether they could get those baskets and put it on any bike, and the answer would be no. It's not a universal mounting hole. You know, there might be in slight different positions, so it wouldn't line up. I mean, maybe it would, but a good chance it may not line up. So I know that the Rad Power Bike's basket kind of looks like the Magicycles, and no, they wouldn't line up because they're different mounting holes. Check with your manufacturer of whichever bike that you have. See if they have one that'll fit your bike. A lot of times they sell them specifically for their own bikes. You just have to check their websites and stuff. And if they don't, then yeah, it's gonna be kind of hard, because nobody can guarantee if it'll fit it or it won't fit it. And it would be bad if you bought it and then you had to return it and all that stuff. Whether you even take it back, I don't know. So what time is it now? 11:27. Yeah, good time for lunch. No, I'm not gonna go get it. I got too much stuff in the refrigerator as it is, and I don't need to get extra stuff. You know, extra things means more calories, and it also means I have to pay for it. Not that you haven't already paid for stuff in your refrigerator, but it's because you already have it. You should eat what you have rather than letting things spoil, right? So, nope, we're not going to pick up Chinese food today. I've always picked up the Chinese food using the Rad Rover, by the way. Then the reason for that is because on the Rad Rover I have my Ebikes bike lock, you know, those folding bike locks. I have that on the on that particular bike. It's mounted on it, so it's convenient to just kind of lock up the front tire to the frame and then jump in, get the food, and come back out. I don't worry too much about it. You know, it's not locked to a bike stand. What do you call it? Where you lock your bike onto the bike post. I don't know what you would call it. It just sits there by itself. I just lock the front wheel to the frame, kind of like the cafe-like lock does for the Euphree, but a lot heavier duty, right? And the reason I do it is because they'd have to lift up the bike to take it away if I do that. Of course, they could roll it on the back tire, because if I only lock the front tire, they could roll it on the back tire and roll it. But you know how heavy these bikes are? You know how inconvenient and how hard that would be to do? And now if you locked both the front and the back, and I've done that before too, where I take a chain, lock the back wheel to the frame, and then take the Ebikes bike lock and lock the front wheel to the frame, then you got to pick up the whole bike to walk off with it. That's really hard to do. That's a heavy bike, and with all the chain and everything else on it, that would be really tough. Look at this lady's got a scooter. Cool. So yeah, I've done that before. But you know, carrying a big chain, because I do have one of the big kryptonite chains, the forget about it chains, and those things heavy. Carrying that heavy thing, carrying the heavy Ebikes bike lock, which is of course a lot lighter than the kryptonite, it starts to get to you after a while. It's just too much extra stuff to carry. Alright, what are we down? We're down to 39%. We're eating up battery like crazy here. Yeah, we didn't start out with 100%. We did not start out with 100%, and now we're down to 39. So I don't know how that happened. Maybe I didn't charge the battery. That's possible too. Did I take it off and just put it down and didn't charge it? That's a very good possibility. And I've been throttling most of this time too. I've told you guys that I don't pedal usually when I'm on the camera. I don't want to sound winded when I'm talking to you. So a lot of times I just throttle, and I've been throttling hard as well. And so usually when I'm off camera, that's when I start pedaling. That's when I take off well, I don't take off the throttle, but I keep my thumb off the throttle, and then I'll pedal and try to pedal the way back to get some exercise in. I don't get much exercise on the bikes. I've already said that. I've said that from the beginning. I never bought the bike for exercise. I bought it to rehab my knee, remember? So well, let's take this thing here. Just kind of ride around a little bit here. Yeah, I bought it just to rehab my knee. So, and all that basically means for me is not hard pedaling, but just to keep it moving. That's all I really wanted it for. And then, yeah, next thing you know, the channel turned into an e-bike channel. Alright, I was just adjusting my front suspension a little bit. Yeah, it's a nice day to be out riding, that's for sure. But, you know, a lot of times, I know people take their bikes out for just pleasure rides, where they're just, you know, riding on a path or doing, well, not doing anything really, just kind of riding around like we're doing right now. And then there's other times where people, you know, they take their bikes and their purpose is to get them from place to place. Like like I said, like if you went to go pick up Chinese food or something, you had a purpose, right? Take it out and get from point A to point B, and
and then get home. Yeah. I always want to have a purpose, but I don't always seem to know what my purpose is. Like I said, I would have liked to have, like, oh, I'm gonna go and take the bike out to go pick up the Chinese food. All right, well, then I had a purpose. But versus like, oh, I'm just gonna take the bike out and do a pleasure ride. Yeah, okay. I think if I was doing the pleasure ride, okay, this guy's gonna let me through. So give him the thank you. If I was just gonna do the pleasure ride, yeah, I would take out something like the Electric Bike Company bike. Something like the Beach Cruiser, where it's just fun to ride it. So, and you know, with that particular bike, with that particular bike, I usually don't pedal at all, even getting back home. It's just like, let's just go from place to place. You know, you're sitting so upright, you're so high up on the bike. Yeah, it's just like a pleasure ride, right? There's no real reason why you're on it. You're just doing it for the fun of doing it. I mean, there's some bikes that are kind of designed for that, just to have some fun. Then other bikes are kind of designed for a purpose, like cargo bikes. Like the KBO Ranger is a cargo bike. Yeah, I wouldn't take that. Well, okay, you could. I'm not saying you can't, but if I had options, I wouldn't take that bike out that's like, oh, I'm just gonna go ride around the neighborhoods and have fun and whatever. That's a bike that has a purpose, all right? It's like, oh, I'm gonna go grocery shopping or something like that. I'm gonna get stuff and put it on there and bring it back. Yeah, commuter bikes, for instance. You know, it's getting around town. Let me show you a photo here. Let me show you a photo of the Euphree City Robin X Plus. Take a look at what's on the back of the bike. Yeah, it's a watermelon. Mrs. Wright and I went grocery shopping. A lot of times we go grocery shopping. We'll take our bikes out on a Saturday. And we'll do it early in the morning, you know, when it's still cool. And we'll go grocery shopping to the local areas, grocery stores. She goes in and shops. I stay out and watch the bikes. She picked up a watermelon, and I said, "Well, that'll fit on the rear basket of the Euphree." Now we had nothing to tie it down with, you know. I mean, she kind of figured, well, you have an extra basket, you can stick it in there. Usually we stick the things that we buy, we just put it in the front basket, right? But, you know, a big watermelon. So yeah, she said she did see it bouncing around a little bit in the back there. So probably not the most ideal thing to do, but it worked. Yeah, we put it on the back of the bike. I was a little more careful, you know, when I was riding it back. But yeah, it worked. Didn't roll off. It was high enough. It stayed up down there. I'd have to bounce pretty hard to bounce that watermelon off of the basket. You know, watermelons are pretty heavy though, right? But she did say she did see it bouncing a little bit. You know, when it hit some bumps and stuff. And stuff. Many people always say stuff like that, and stuff, and things, and stuff. All right, now you might be asking, how did you do when you went to the church? You were going to practice the keyboard and stuff. Yeah, I was, and stuff. And how did that go? Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, we figured out some of the things I needed to do to get the sounds that I needed for the Sunday service. And you know, I had a good talk with the worship leader. You know, I took her out to lunch. We hung out for about 3 hours talking about church stuff and worship team and all that stuff. And that stuff. Do you guys say stuff like that? I don't know. Maybe because I grew up and that's how we used to say things. You tend to say things the way you did when you were younger. Still, even though I'm a lot older. and stuff. Okay, too many cars, you have to stop. But when you stop, you have to hop off the bike because I'm too high up on the saddle here. I cannot just sit on the saddle, put my feet down. Yeah, and don't tell me to do it because I don't do that. I want the full extension because I need it to help my knee. Yeah. So, yeah, let's pedal a little bit. We're at 30%. Yeah, man, this thing dropped quite a bit, pretty fast. Well, I don't know if it's pretty fast. How long have we been on together? I have no idea. I didn't reset my timers or anything like that. Anything like that. Is that the same as and stuff? I think it is. And we've been going around in circles and doing things. I look at the time that we spend together, and it surprises me how many miles I actually put in on the bike in that amount of time. Because as you know, I usually ride relatively quickly. I will be between 18 and 22 miles an hour, probably on average, most of the time. So if you think about it, let's say we do 20 miles an hour, right? If we spend a half hour on the video, I've ridden 10 miles. So it's more than you might think. And you know, sometimes friends have asked me, oh well, you know, how far do you go? And I'll tell them, I don't know, 20, 30 miles. And they'll be like, wow, yeah, that's really not that much on an e-bike. Yeah, it really isn't. It sounds like a lot, but you know, I'm not winded. I've been throttling. I'm just sitting and talking. I'm not like pedaling or anything like that. I tell them the same as I tell you guys. I usually don't pedal when I'm doing a video. I throttle most of the time, and then I try to pedal some as I head back home. So yeah, let's turn here. So although maybe 20, 30 miles sounds like a lot, you know, on a regular bike, it's really not that much on an e-bike. They're all impressed. I'm not impressed at all. I'm thinking, that wasn't that hard. I didn't do anything. And this is why people say you don't lose any weight on an e-bike because you're not doing any effort. That's true. 100% true. I don't lose any weight on my e-bikes because I don't put in the effort. If you put in the effort, yeah, you're going to lose weight. No doubt. But that's not why I bought the e-bike. Now, I probably should, since I'm overweight, right? I probably should, but no, if I pedaled the entire time while I'm talking to you, it wouldn't sound too good. I don't think you'd enjoy it. I think you'd hear me doing this as I'm talking. That won't be good. I mean, I think you heard that when I was doing the Velotric. The review of the Velotric or the riding tests of the Velotric. Yeah, I was kind of suffering. You have to pedal on that bike. It's just like the commuter bike from Magicycle. You have to pedal. You have no throttle. It's a class 1 bike. But the two of those bikes are different. The Velotric is class 1, but it's a torque sensor. It's a lot tougher to ride. You have to put effort to get some speed out of it. I was only doing 9 or 12 miles an hour. On the Magicycle, I could do 20 miles an hour and really not feel winded at all, even though I'm pedaling, because it's got a not throttle. It's got a cadence sensor on it. So as long as I keep my legs moving, I don't have to move it hard. Like right now, here, let me show you. I'm not pedaling hard. This is a cadence sensor as well. I'm just keeping my legs moving, and the pedal assist is actually helping keep my bike going. Like if I increase the pedal assist to 7 right now, okay, I'm barely moving my legs and that thing is going pretty fast. Okay, so now people say that the cadence sensor is not a natural feel. It isn't. Yeah, it isn't a natural feel like a regular bike would be. But for guys like me who have a weakened leg and knee and everything, it works pretty good for me. So now the torque sensor on that Class 1 bike, it's kind of tough for me because I have to pedal harder if I want to get some speed out of it. And when you don't have the strength to pedal harder, you don't get the speed. So I was typically stuck at about 9 to 12 miles per hour on that bike, which is kind of like riding a regular bike, right? To me, it wasn't really suitable for me. Okay, now for somebody else, that bike would be fine. You know, if they're looking for that type of exercise, or if they're wanting to put the effort in, you know, to get the exercise, then yeah, you pedal that thing a little harder, yeah, you could do 20 miles an hour on it. I think I did it. I did do it to that level, but that was like in the beginning part of the ride. You know, if you're riding for a half hour, I don't think I could get to 20 miles an hour at that point because my leg is too tired out at that, you know, doing that. So, not a bike suited for me. We learned that. The thing is, until you try it, you don't know it, right? So I accepted that bike, and I said that, you know, I only take bikes that I think has some value, and it does have value. It just doesn't have value to me. It's a little bit tougher for me to ride it because of my own physical limitations and stuff. All right, this guy's letting me through, so we wave thank you and we move on. Alright, they will take the loop around, and then I'm going to head back after that. Because I'm running out of battery. I'm down to 22%. It's enough for me to do what I want to do. It's not like I'll be stranded anywhere. Anyway, that's about really all I wanted to say today. So I don't need to drag you along with me for this part of the ride. Unless you want to. But I appreciate you guys watching and staying along with me, even on some basic rides like today. No real purpose, just riding and talking. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. I'll talk to you guys next time.